boys are going to bring the heat today.
As the leader of the Booner Pack, I lead from the front.
All right, boys. Lock in.
It's our core foundation, man. Grit.
I'm fired up. I'm fired the f*** up, boys.
It's pumping right now. It's got my juices pumping, boys.
Welcome to the Jeff Iafrate Show on a Monday morning. It's 9 a.m. It's March 24th. I hope you all are having a great morning. Great rest of your day. Good day at work. Whatever you're up to. We got a lot to discuss. I have my mock draft for today. We'll get into that later. I'm on a 5.0 now, so I'm already 5 mock drafts in. This is getting ridiculous, okay, at this point. I'm having fun doing it, though, but I just want the draft to come already. That's where I'm at. But I hope you all are doing well. Honestly, it's March Madness is upon us. Had a lot of college basketball to watch. Pistons, Red Wings. I'll share my thoughts on something that I've been wanting to bring up on this show, or at least a show, and we'll probably talk more about it on our Crunch Time Sports show, but it has to do with the Pistons and Red Wings and where kind of they are right now, both teams, and how the Red Wings need to be, or I should say Stevie Y needs to be held a little more accountable because it's just the facts, and I'll share some thoughts about that with you guys. But let's get into it, man. I see everyone in there. Noah says, go blue. What's going on, Noah? Appreciate you for tuning in. Nasty says, good morning, Jeff. What's going on, Nasty? Nasty says 3 more weeks, too. Yeah, couple weeks, and then we have the draft. And then all this all the edge conversations can hopefully be over at that point. But who knows? Until then, we'll just keep drafting edges. But, yeah, it is what it is. I'm feeling good this morning. I really am. I didn't wipe my face with a banana peel or, stick my face in iced water. Like that one influencer does. But you know what? I'm ready to get after it. I'm fired up. I feel good this morning. I really do. And like I said, I'm going to go through my mock draft. I'm going to talk about the Lions. 8:15. Pride of Detroit asked a question. Did the Lions get better or worse this offseason? I'll answer that question, share my thoughts on it, especially because people out there actually believe that I don't like Brad Holmes. So it'll be probably an interesting perspective if I share my thoughts on it. But nonetheless, I want to get into the Red Wings and Pistons right now because the Red Wings are going through it. They really are. And and by the way, Anakin, I see you in there. Good luck on your wisdom teeth. I got mine out. It's not bad. You'll be all right. You'll be good. I got my wisdom teeth out, and then 3 weeks later, I got my tonsils removed. So yeah, you'll be all right. But like I said, the Red Wings, it's ugly right now. It's absolutely ugly. I know Caleb and Mike talked about it, which you guys can check out their show. It's Saturday mornings. They do a great job, 10 to 11 a.m. every single week. They talk a lot more Tigers, Red Wings, Pistons. We cover mainly Lions on our main show because that's what the people want to hear about. But here on the Jeff Iafrate Show, I'll kind of dip into mostly Lions, but I'll sprinkle some Pistons and Red Wings in there. And I did want to get this out of the way because Max Boltman put this out. And Max Boltman, by the way, I do want to have him on the show. He does great work, covers the Red Wings for The Athletic. And he put this out after losing 6-3 in Vegas. Red Wings are now 5 points back of the second wild card spot with 13 games left. Odds of snapping an 8-year playoffs drought continue to dwindle. And patience in Detroit is running out in a big way. So, yep. It's over. So, there is no holding on for, hey, maybe no, it's over. The Red Wings are most likely going to miss the playoffs. Okay. And that would make it another year without making the playoffs. Since I believe the last time they made it was 2016. They should have made it last year, and they should have made it this year. So you should be looking at back-to-back playoff appearances. I'm not even going to discuss what the playoffs should have looked. It doesn't matter. It's just about being in the playoffs. This is now back-to-back years without making the playoffs. And it's funny because a team that plays in the same arena is not only going to make the playoffs, but many are discussing about being a team that could potentially upset a team like the Knicks, the Pistons. They are playing really well right now, and they beat. I know they didn't have Cade, and they didn't beat a very good team, but they still won without Cade. And JB Bickerstaff's been doing a fantastic job with this roster. And I think a lot of that has to do not only with coaching, like Matthew puts in there, because coaching obviously is the most important. The Red Wings went through a coaching change mid-season. So there's that, which, you're already fighting an uphill battle, changing coaches mid-season, even though they got better almost immediately. But regardless, the Pistons are fun to watch. They are. And the thing I find the most interesting about the Pistons, and this is where basketball and hockey are pretty similar, it takes a lot longer than it does in the NFL. The NFL, I always say, most teams, because if you're not like if you're not like this, something's wrong. But typically in the NFL, it takes 3 years. Okay, the first year, especially a full teardown rebuild. The first year, Dan Campbell walks in. It's, you got nothing in the cupboards. It's disgusting. It's bad. You got a bunch of scrubs on your roster that aren't even yours. You just basically walked into a roster with a bunch of dudes on it. Like, the first year is fine. The second year, you're supposed to show incremental improvement. No one's asking for the playoffs. And then that third year, you're supposed to make the playoffs. That's usually how it goes. And that's actually what happened exactly with Dan Campbell. So that's what you expect. That's what the NFL is. That's what happens. In basketball and hockey, it takes longer, right? Because not only are you relying on the draft, especially for smaller markets, not that, Detroit technically isn't like a small market, but it's not, especially where they were, the Pistons and Red Wings, it's not a place people are jumping to come join. So you have to build through the draft. It takes longer time. It takes years, right? That's how basketball works. That's how hockey works. You need guys to develop. That's why it's so important. And the Pistons have been the laughing stock of Detroit. Like, I remember, I've been doing this for a couple of years now and discussing the Red Wings, and it was not even a debate who was farther ahead in the rebuild. It was the Red Wings. It wasn't even a debate. Now you can't find a single person to even argue the Red Wings. They are last. I mean, the Tigers surpassed them. They are last in Detroit right now in terms of, I guess, who's ahead in when you're discussing rebuilds. Who's the closest to winning a championship. They talk about that. The average age of the Pistons right now, and this is what I find the most impressive, and obviously they have a top 10 NBA player, which, like, I will die on that hill. Cade Cunningham right now is a top 10 NBA player. But the average age of the Pistons right now is 24 years old. Think about that, 24 years old. And you have players like Ron Holland, who's a rookie, by the way, playing extremely well. By the way, Stat Mamba put this out. Ron Holland becomes the first teenager in NBA history to have a 25-5-5 game with 0 turnovers. So, yeah, he's been playing really well, the rookie. But they're fun to watch. They're winning games. They're well coached. They play together. And they're young. They're 24 years of age. And I think the big difference with the NBA and the NHL is players can impact the game quicker, obviously. Like, Ron's 18, 19 years old, and he's playing really well. It's not always the case in hockey. It takes a little bit of time. I mean, their first-round pick last year for the Red Wings isn't going to see the floor, most likely. We'll see. But it's just a little different. But still, there's no excuse. The average age of the Pistons, 24 years old. They're in a playoff hunt. I mean, not hunt, but a playoff push, I guess. Or they're sitting comfortably in the playoffs, challenging a top 4-5 seed in the East right now, which is impressive. And the Red Wings, on the other hand, are going to miss the playoffs. The average age of the Red Wings right now is 28 years old, almost 29. 28.8, the average age of the Red Wings. They're just older. It doesn't matter. And they have experienced players like Patrick Kane. They have guys that have experience in the NHL. I mean, even some of their better players have experience. So there's no excuse. It's depressing. It's sad. And the one person you'd point the finger to right now is Steve Yzerman. And that's just where it is. It's not like Tampa, and that's why I think, he gets the most grace is because of how great of a GM he was in Tampa. And the things he's done in the draft here in Detroit. He's drafted great players. But at some point as a GM, you're judged by results. That's just how it works, right? It's not about the talent you find. It's about results. You can keep adding talent, but if the results aren't matching what you're doing in the offseason, drafting, because that's his strength, obviously, Stevie Y's drafting, identifying talent through the draft, it just doesn't matter. And right now it seems to be going that way. So Red Wings fans are frustrated, and again, the average age is almost 29 years old. This isn't as young of a team as you think it is, even though players are still coming up through the pipeline. I mean, they still have guys that are going to be very good. I still believe are going to be very good, but aren't contributing at this point. And you only can let this thing brew for so long before someone has to be like, hey, why do we still stink? And I think that's where Red Wings fans are. And I think it's justified in my opinion. So the Pistons, not only are they exciting to watch, but I think the Tigers will be exciting to watch. I do. And I know Caleb would agree with that. Listen, they had a playoff appearance last year. They were fun to watch. They were one of the greatest stories last year. We were following them here in Crunch Time. And you're looking at all these franchises in Detroit. You have the Lions and what they're doing. You have the Pistons and what they're doing, the Tigers. And the Red Wings are sitting there with, by the way, prestigious organization. Prestigious. I mean, one of my good friends, and obviously one of your guys' good friends, Darren McCarty, an absolute legend. There's a reason why he's held to such a high standard. It's Darren McCarty. Like, look what he brought to the city of Detroit. And now you're looking at the Red Wings the last, 6 years. You're like, geez, man, this team stinks. This team stinks. And it's depressing to watch. So, we'll see what happens. But the Pistons are fun. And you know what? It's fun being a Pistons fan again. It just is. It's exciting. And they're going to cause some havoc in the playoffs, man. I don't think they're going to go challenge and make the Eastern Conference Finals, but you know what? They might mess around and win a series. And if they do, it's going to make Stevie Y look even worse. I'm just being honest with you. I really am. All right. Pride of Detroit put out an article asking fans, did the Lions get better, right, this offseason? Did they improve? Which, honestly, when I saw it, I thought it was hilarious. I'm like, really? That's not that Pride's doing anything wrong, but it's just the fact that we have to ask that question. Like, did they improve? And then I thought about it. And by the way, comment, do you believe the Lions got better this offseason? I know it's not done. And that's probably the kicker is like the offseason's not over. There's still the draft. There's still, roster cuts. There's still opportunities to add people. I mean, the Lions added Tim Patrick later in the year. So it's like they can always improve. So I don't think you can answer that question until the season begins, in my opinion. But just as of right now through free agency, did the Lions get better? Well, let's talk about it for a second. And I'll answer that question. So let's look at the Lions as a whole. Offensive line. We'll start on the offense. We'll go to defense. Offensive line. You had Kevin Zeitler last year starting at guard. He was a Pro Bowl level guard. This year, you're going into the season with Christian Mahogany, who is a second-year player. Not a lot of experience, but when in his starts, played very well. And then you have Graham. You have Graham on the other side, probably starting at right guard. And then Taylor Decker back fully healthy. Frank Ragnow, Penei Sewell. So the offensive line, we'll start there. Did they get better? Well, they lost Kevin Zeitler, so they got worse by any means. I mean, the guy's Pro Bowl level guard. But do I think Christian Mahogany can play at a pretty high level this year? I do. But I don't think I can definitively say, yes, he will be just as good as Kevin Zeitler. I don't know. But anyone playing in between Penei Sewell and Frank Ragnow, we already know is going to be pretty solid. But I don't want to take anything away from Kevin Zeitler. Like Kevin Zeitler, there's a reason why you're running to Kevin Zeitler and Penei Sewell's side. So I think at guard, they got a little worse, but you have an opportunity. You're paying someone like Mahogany pennies. You're paying him pennies to at least be a decent starting level guard. And by the way, this question, did they get better? And I see Rick, yes, they got 22 players back from IR. I guess it's not necessarily, yes, because of the IR, but I'm just talking about like healthy. Roster when healthy, did they get better? Because the question would be easy then if the answer was yes, they don't have anyone hurt at this point. So I'm trying to look at this thing healthy. So I think they got a little worse at their starting left guard spot, or I guess it'd be left guard, even though Kevin Zeitler plays right guard. But Mahogany's probably going to play left guard. But Mahogany replacing Zeitler on the offensive line, I think they got a little worse. But you're paying a guy pennies to basically play at hopefully a high level. So I'm not going to freak out too much about that. I think the offensive line will be fine. I do. I think they'll add in the draft too. So we'll see what they do. So I don't think they really got too much worse on the offensive line. Maybe a little bit, but not going to freak out about it. Obviously, quarterback stays the same. Wide receiver stay the same. Tight end stays the same. Running back, all that stuff. So offense is pretty much the same. So I'm not going to say they got worse. Losing AG and Ben Johnson hurts. And I've said that, and I'll keep saying it. Ben Johnson isn't obvious. you guys can say what you want about him. The guy's an offensive guru. All right, he is. So I'm just going to say that it's hard to replace that. So did they get better? No, they did not. I'm not going to say John Morton is better than Ben Johnson, but what I will say is you don't need him to be. What you need is a guy to bring this offense and keep this offense, sustain this offense at a top 5, 6 level. And it's really up to Calvin Shepard, which I don't know if they got better on defense. I think Calvin Shepard can be an excellent defensive coordinator. I think he can. So I think there's upside there to say you improved at DC. And that's no disrespect to Aaron Glenn. I think he's an excellent defensive coordinator. But Calvin Shepard, on the other hand, we don't know. Like Calvin could be really good. He could be excellent. And I know as a former player, similar to AG, he has a connection with his players. He's already been here. So people might assume that it's going to be the same defense with Calvin. I don't think so. I think it's going to be Calvin's way. So I think it's more incomplete for Calvin Shepard to say like, oh, they got worse or better. I would feel more confident saying worse with John Morton and Ben, even though I like John Morton, but I'm just being real here. It's going to be hard to be one of the most historic offenses in NFL history. Maybe John Morton can, but I'm going to lean no. Calvin, I think so. I think there's a chance he can be better. I do. I really do like Calvin Shepard. So I'm going to lean more on, I think they got better, if I'm being honest. I think Calvin he not only will he have the roster, but I think he's gotten to learn under AG, and I'm excited for him. I really am. And people might be a little more cautious with him. I'm not as cautious. I really am not. I'm excited for Calvin. So I'm not going to say they got worse with him, on the other hand. But when you go to the defense and you look at the defensive line, that's probably the biggest question this offseason is, the defensive line. Did they get worse? At this point, that's something I think it's fair if I said I got to wait and see. Okay, I got to wait and see after the draft, because if Brad drafts, like I have a draft today, and if Brad has this exact draft, we can look at this defensive line and be like, okay, I love this, But until then, I can't definitively answer that. I think the defensive line, I would say incomplete at this point. I just am. So, all right, let's see. Adam, appreciate you, says glass trash. Oh, geez. Glass trash can't be our starting next year at Goff killed almost every play. D-line currently doesn't move me. Got to count on to impact rookies. I mean, yeah. Thanks for the $5, Adam. I appreciate you. And yeah, I get that. I still believe there's a chance they bring in a vet, maybe Za'Darius, but we'll see. I mean, I'm basically just talking out of my ass at this point. I don't know. I would like to think so. Let's see. Booner says, O-line wise, call it what it is. Kevin Zeitler made his first Pro Bowl of his career with the Lions. Mahogany is in the best spot in the NFL. The second part I agree with. Mahogany is in the best. Well, he won't be playing at that spot, though. He'll be playing left guard. So, because Graham plays better on the right. So they would probably move him back to right. Mahogany will play left. So he'll be with Decker and Ragnow, which, it's not ideal, but he'll be fine. But yeah, I would say this. Kevin Zeitler, I don't have the Pro Bowl numbers in front of me, but what I'll say is Kevin Zeitler's been one of the best guards for about a decade. So I'm not going to say like, oh, the Lions made Kevin Zeitler. Kevin Zeitler's been that dude. He's been very good for a while. So I don't know. I don't know what this is. I don't know what you're trying to say, Boone, but if Mahogany is Kevin Zeitler, then you have a very good guard. You got a very good guard. Let's see. Booner saying Calvin will be better than AG and have questions about John Morton is still insane to me. I don't think so. And I'll tell you why. Calvin, we don't have evidence to suggest he'll be better or worse. We just don't. He's young coaches. I look at young coaches as upside, like he could be very good. We don't know. He hasn't been a defensive coordinator before. John Morton has. He's been an OC. He's been in the league for a while. He hasn't gotten a lot of opportunities. So that probably is more telling. It tells me more. Like I know what I'm going to get out of John Morton. I think John Morton's an offense. He's a creative guy offensively. I think he'll be fine. Like I'm not going to argue that John Morton's like, this isn't about John Morton being good. It's about upgrading from Ben Johnson. That's the question. And if you agree with me that he won't be better than Ben, then there's no argument. If you think he'll be better than Ben, then we disagree. Like that's basically the statement. I don't know if he'll be better than Ben. I would lean no. But I have more confidence in Calvin because I don't have any evidence to suggest otherwise. I don't. He's just a young coach that probably would have been sought after by other coaches. Obviously, there's potential there. And let's be real here. Aaron Glenn, whether it was the talent he was given, this defense was never elite. So there's an opportunity there for Calvin to be better. Does that make sense? Like it's been an historic offense pretty much every year. So it's like, how can you really upgrade? You know what I mean? That's where I'm at with it. Calvin will have a chance to. Like, if this defense is top 8 this year, it's an upgrade. Like, that's literally all he has to do. Top 10 defense. For John, it's like, be historic, and it's an upgrade. It's like, it's not. I don't know. I would lean no on that one. But defensive line, guys, I would wait. I'm not going to sit here and say, because I don't think it's there's no way, right? There's no way the defensive line stays the same. There's no way. So I have to say incomplete. Right now, it's not looking great. But I don't want to jump too much on it, okay, and say like, oh, trash it, because the draft's going to come around in about a month, and you're probably going to have 1 to 2 new defensive linemen. So, I think at this point, incomplete. But what I expect to happen if you sign Za'Darius and draft an edge or two, it would be an upgrade. We can agree there. So I'm not going to destroy the defensive line just yet. Now at corner, they upgraded. And I think that's the real thing is corner. They absolutely upgraded. And I'll tell you why. I'm not even discussing DJ Reed and Carlton Davis, because I think it's pretty much a wash. I think they're pretty similar. You'd probably say Carlton's a more reliable CB1. DJ Reed's always been a CB2. He can be that CB1. But skill wise, I like DJ Reed. I do. I also really like Carlton. I think it's close. Maybe you give the edge to Carlton because if he's a little bigger, he fits that CB1 role, but it's not that drastic to me. But besides that, like Taron Arnold, we expect to improve, correct? Ennis Rakestraw, yes. Those two, you have to assume they're going to get better. The young players going into year 2 in this league. So if they get better, that's awesome. You signed Rock Ya-Sin, Maddox. You got players behind them. Dorsey. Like Dorsey was there last year, but they upgraded that CB room entirely. They did. They got better. So I think we can all agree. At corner, they got better. In safety, they didn't change anything. So it's like still one of the best, if not the best safety room in the NFL. So on defense, like they will be improved. You know what I mean? They will be. Just obviously the injuries, I get that. But I'm talking about just personnel, like healthy or not, they've gotten better. And I think after the draft, we can definitively say the defense got better. So we're talking about an improved defense here. And the offense pretty much saying the same. In Mahogany, I have confidence can play at a starter level. He'll be fine. I'm not too worried about Mahogany. You probably want to see a bigger sample size, of course, but I don't think losing Zeitler is going to derail the whole offensive line. So I like the Lions, to answer the question, yeah, they did get better. They did. Doesn't mean people can't expect them to do more, right? That's fine. I understand it, especially if you believe this team's a Super Bowl team. It's like, yeah, you want them to sign another guy here or there, not spend a bunch of money. Like I want Za'Darius back. I don't think that's, a drastic ask. So, we'll see what happens. But yeah, of course, I think the Lions got better. I do. And people that think I hate Brad Holmes will be like, what? You think they got better? Don't you hate Brad Holmes from last year? No, I don't. And I think they got better. So, and I think after the draft, we'll be even more excited. I do. Because, based on everyone's draft, we'll have mock draft Monday today on the show. Probably going to have 2 edges in every draft. It's just how it works. So, if you're expecting to add 2 edges and sign an edge, hopefully, then yeah, you got better. Because Davenport turns from DN2 to DN3. That's a good situation to be in. DN3, 4. So, by default, yeah, they got better. Yeah. And the corners are better. So, and linebackers. You're getting Derek Barnes obviously back, but Jack Campbell, and I've said this and I'll keep saying it, breakout year next year. We said this last year, but we'll say it again. I know last year was hard because of the injuries. So I'm willing to give a lot of players grace. Like Taron Arnold, for example. He had no one, in front of him getting to the quarterback. But this year, we expect Jack to continue. Jack should be at a Pro Bowl level, right? That's what we all expect. So it's yeah, they'll get better. They'll be better. Booner. Here's Booner. This guy just always playing devil's advocate. Jack had a big year, though. No, he did not have a big year. He had a fine year. He was fine. He's not. Is he a Pro Bowler? Unless I missed it. That would be a big year if you're a Pro Bowler. Like, I don't think you define a big year. I think Jack was fine this year. He was fine. He was fine. I'm not saying he's bad. I'm not going to say that. But did he play at a Pro Bowl level? No, he didn't. So I think this year he will. And then we can confidently say, okay, there's your first round pick. That's what you're looking for. He said stepped up and looked great when Anzo got hurt. That's false because what did everyone keep telling us, Boone? Even you. Anzo's not here. Wait till he gets back. Anzo gets back, everything changes. That's concerning. You know what I mean? Like Anzo was one of the biggest linchpins of the season. And the guy you drafted to replace him was playing, and we're still asking for Anzalone. Like, do you not see where there's that's a problem? Like I get it, Jack Campbell. Like, I understand it. Like, we love him. He's awesome. But we got to be a little objective here. Like, when Anzo got hurt, you felt it. You know what I mean? You felt it. And then all it took was Anzo returning, even though there's a bunch of injuries. Like, you still had tons of injuries, and they got better. It's like, it's just, so next year, you just expect that Pro Bowl jump. That's what you expect out of a first-year linebacker. He said you felt it because Barnes, Rodrigo, and Anzo were all hurt. Well, did Barnes and Rodrigo come back when Anzo came back? Because they were still hurt, my guy. I mean, like, I'm okay. I'm just saying. I'm not saying no one's arguing Jack played bad, but my point is, see, again, you're playing devil's advocate. I love you, Boone, but you're just arguing to argue at this point. Like, unless you disagree with me that Jack played at a high level, like, he was fine. High level tackles don't define everything, because if we're talking about just tackles, then it's like, okay, bring up El Shahir, or Zaire Franklin. Like, Zaire Franklin is a tackling machine. He's fine. You know what I mean? We're expecting Jack to do more, and this year he will. So, we can agree. I don't know what we're disagreeing on. I think you would agree that Jack last year was fine. He was good. This year we expect him to be even better, and hopefully like a Pro Bowl level linebacker. Because, if you're drafted 18th overall, I think we can all agree that, you expect your 18th overall pick to eventually turn into a Pro Bowl. Or, like all pro type of level. That's just kind of what you expect out of the first round picks. But, yeah. Rick C says, how many Lions players played in every game last season? How many Lions defenders not named Jack Campbell played in every game last season? Yeah, no, Jack, listen, he was healthy. Like, that's awesome. It was good. Yeah, I don't know what Booner's even arguing, but I think, listen, I don't know what Booner disagrees. Like, I think you're just arguing to argue at this point. Unless you think Jack played, like, I don't know. I don't think we even disagree. So I'm just going to keep moving on here. We agree. Jack next year needs to take the next step. It's important. Same with Derek Barnes. You just paid him. Like, that's what we expect out of the linebacker room. So by all those guys, I expect the defense to get better. I expect the defense to be top 10. I expect the offense to be top 6, top 5 maybe. So, yeah. Did the Lions get better? They did. They did get better. So, despite me bitching about an edge, I think we can all be excited for the future. All right. I got my mock draft, and I want to get into it because this week I made a trade. I traded back. So, a little different. I know the last couple of weeks I've been trading up or staying put. This week I traded back. So I'm doing different scenarios. And this week I decided, you know what? What if there's a scenario where Brad trades back out of the first round for a team looking to trade into the first round? And in this scenario, I went with the New York Giants. The New York Giants, they didn't go quarterback at 3. So in this scenario, they traded back into the first to get Jackson Dart. I traded out to 33, I think I want to say. I'd have to actually pull it up here, but regardless, traded back out, picked up another pick, picked up the 99th pick in the draft. So that's what I acquired in this trade. So traded back, got another pick, and got to work. So you know what? Let's begin. All right. I am fired up about this one. So let's start officially Jeff Iafrate's 2025 Detroit Lions mock draft 5.0. These are flying, by the way. We're on 5.0. I mean, I'll just keep doing it. I mean, it's fun. I look forward to it every single week. I enjoy doing it. You guys have been really supportive on it. So again, and if you guys disagree with any of the picks, let me know. I don't mind pushback. It's fun to me. It is. So let's begin. Like I said, I decided to trade out of the first round. This is something that Brad, I think, is capable of. I don't know if he'll do it. Ideally, you'd like him to trade up. We can all agree. Trade up and get a really good player. I'm not going to push back on that. I'm not. But in this scenario, with the depth at edge, maybe you can trade back, get a guy you really like, and pick up another third, fourth round pick to, go out and get another player. So that is where I'm at. So I traded out of the first, picked up another pick. So let's begin. All right. And with the first pick, well, I guess it's the second round pick. I think it's 33. We'll see in a second. I decided to take a player that I've taken before in my mock drafts. Okay. And I really like this player. And he's going to be an early second round pick. But he is, when you talk about edges, this is the guy you're looking for. And that is 34, by the way. Edge out of Ole Miss. Princely Umetamilin. Umetamilin. I think I butchered that. But he is an explosive player, okay? He is. And I suggest for anyone that's looking at edges, if you're bored, go watch Princely. Because you watch that Ole Miss defensive line with Walter Nolan, who I've taken before. I love all these Ole Miss guys. Like Jared Ivey's on there. Princely led the team in sacks. Highly productive, high win rate. He's just he fits. You look at the size too. He's 22 years old, 6'4", 260 pounds. Like 10 and a half sacks this year for Ole Miss. Last year was at Florida, transferred. He's a Florida transfer. And at Florida, just got better basically every single year. I mean, his last 3 years at Florida, 1.5 sacks, 4.5 sacks, 7 sacks. Transferred to Ole Miss, 10.5 sacks. So, again, I love it. Production, right? That's what you're looking for. I know it's a big thing for some players. It's like, well, he doesn't produce, but he has the measurables. No, Princely produces. He had a 22.8 pass rush win rate. 22.8% pass rush win rate. Had one of his highest graded games. Actually, his highest graded game this year against Georgia. Yep, against Georgia. Lined up mostly outside the tackle. He's a pretty good run defender, an excellent pass rusher. So, again, size, everything you're kind of looking for. Super twitchy. That's kind of the one thing when you watch him. Like, he's got like the long arms too, which is, kind of the joke with Aiden. People come at him for smaller arms, even though it doesn't hurt him at all. But Princey's got longer arms. He's got a little bit of ability. Sideline to sideline, can catch running backs. You know what I mean? So he can chase guys down. There's comparisons. They compare him to like Boye Mafe. But I love Princely. I do. So he's an excellent pick. You get him at 34 and you get picks. Yeah. All right, let's get to the next one. And you'll see the pick I actually acquired here. All right. With the 60th pick, another Ole Miss player, and that is wide receiver Trey Harris. And Trey Harris, for those who haven't watched any Ole Miss games, Trey Harris is that guy. He just is. He's big, 6'3", productive. That's what his career's been. Productive. He's had basically almost 1,000 the last 3 years. He had 1,000 yards this year. His grade against man coverage is insane. According to PFF, 95.0 grade against man coverage. Doesn't drop the ball much, gets open, catches every football thrown his way. He's very physical, gets vertical. He's a player that I think, you talk about a Tim Patrick replacement. This isn't like you're drafting a guy to replace Tim Patrick and just kind of be like semi-productive, but Trey Harris can be a star. He can be a very good player. He's going to be. I mean, he's a second-round pick, and you'll see why as the draft goes on, why I took a wide receiver this early. But He's a big playability, big body, make plays everywhere, reliable hands, gets open. He checks off pretty much every box. And hot take here, don't know if anyone's going to like this one, but I'll just say it anyway, because it usually works out for me well. But when you look at the future and you look at extensions and you look at players that you might not be able to keep, if there is a scenario, don't attack me. If there's a scenario where you can't keep Jameson Williams, Trey Harris will become that wide receiver too. I promise you, he's that good. So you don't have as much pressure on you to try and re-sign a Jameson when you have Trey Harris kind of being groomed and playing more and more. Like Trey Harris, I think can turn into a dude in the NFL. I do. So I don't know how people are going to take that, but I'm just being honest. From a GM's perspective, that's why you would take a guy like Trey Harris. All right, we'll go to the next pick, and I decided to where I think the Lions are going to be interested in a player. This is more like me trying to predict what the Lions will do, partially who I like, but this is more trying to give you guys like a realistic scenario. I try to do a little more realistic. I try to think of like what Brad would do to try and make it a little more fun. I don't want to just pump out Lions mocks who I like and just, fit narratives. This is kind of what I think could happen realistically. And that's the Lions drafting at 99, Deion Walker. And this is, by the way, Deion Walker. I love Deion Walker, but this is the 99th pick that I acquired because I traded back. So you basically got Princely and Deion instead of that 28th pick. Think about it. Deion Walker, I don't need to say much about the guy. He's a specimen. I love Deion Walker. He's definitely a draft crush of mine. I'm not going to lie to you. He is massive human being. He's a space clogger. That's what he does. Against the run, very good. Pass rush upside. I know this past year, a little more quiet in terms of production, but the year prior, 7 sacks. And this is someone, the Lions, they've sent scouts out to his pro day. They talked to him. There's some insight. Yeah, you're getting nuggets today, but I'm dropping some nuggets here. Talk to him a little bit. Might be interest here. Okay? Might be some interest here. And I think Deion Walker is going to be, they're looking at measurables with him. So people are going to look at him. Obviously a Detroit native. It helps. Not on your play not with play on the field, but it helps. He's an athlete. He moves really well when you watch him on tape for being 6'6", 350 pounds. He led the nation in pressures in 2023. So think about it, right? He can play all over your D-line. He's got some versatility to him. So I think it's very intriguing. 6'6", 345, play some nose tackle. Ooh, be like your DJ Reader replacement. Yeah. 3 tech to rush the passer, but on certain passing downs, imagine him playing alongside Aleem. Ooh, I like it. I love Deion. So there you go. Princely, Trey, and Deion, your first 3 picks. Fitting out pretty nicely. All right, speaking of trying to mimic what the Lions will do, this next pick, it's been a rumor. Jeff Risdon put it out, and that player at 102 is Oluwafemi Oladejo. Okay, the linebacker edge out of UCLA. I put him at edge here, but he played linebacker, changed his position to edge, played edge this year at UCLA. But you watch him at the Senior Bowl, he made a name for himself there, and the Lions love him. They love his versatility, but also his upside at edge, what he can do. So I got Femi here at 102. And the Lions love him. I like him. At 102, I really like him. You never know what you can get out of a guy like this, right? Plays with the way he plays the game, his athleticism, size. He still checks kind of the size box. I know he's like 6'3", 250, I think he is for measurements. But he's not like a Josh Paschal. Like he's not that 6'3", 270. No, he's an edge, right? He's an edge. But he's a linebacker. So he sees the game like a linebacker, but he can line up at edge. Obviously a high IQ player. So I think it's very interesting. The Lions like him a lot. So keep an eye on this guy, man, because you might see him come April. All right, we'll keep it moving here. With the next selection, I decided to take, and by the way, love this pick. And this is the first time I've ever drafted this player. Oh, yeah. You guys are going to, I know Malik's going to like it in the chat here. That player is tackle / guard, and I'll explain why. A Johnny Cornelius. Let me explain something to you guys, all right? A Johnny Cornelius, it says Nebraska, but it's Oregon, so disregard that. But a Johnny Cornelius, he's a right tackle. Okay, Josh Connerly, who's going to go probably late first, early second, plays left tackle. Johnny's right tackle. Stay with me now. He came out of high school as a right guard. Played right tackle, can play right guard. Where do you need right? You need right guard the most. That's the Lions, right? Oh, yeah, you do. All right, Graham's playing right guard. This guy right here is your Graham replacement. All right, trust me on that. And this isn't taking away from, what I guess could happen at left tackle in the future with Gio. Maybe Gio's your left tackle, but Johnny, he played, I think, a couple snaps at left tackle, but he's been mainly on the right side, so he can play right guard for you if you need him to. 6'5", he's got great size on him. And Oregon with offensive linemen. I mean, Panay came from there. They always are producing pretty good offensive linemen. So they're going to have 2 tackles drafted in the top, 4 rounds. And Johnny, I think, is a intriguing player, especially because he's a guard who moved to tackle. And I think in the NFL, they project him to be a guard. So I love it. Longer arms, everything you look for, man. So I love it, Johnny. One of my favorite picks of this draft. Not going to lie to you guys. I can't. By the way, him and Panay next to each other, 6'5", 6'5". Good luck. All right, good luck. All right, let's keep it pushing here. I decided to do something interesting. I'm doing it. And I don't give a damn. We're taking another offensive lineman. Give me another one. And give me a center, Jake Majors at 196. Okay, yeah, we're doing it. Okay, screw it. Why not? We're taking back-to-back offensive linemen. We're doing it. Jake Majors. You got a problem with it? I don't care. He's a great center. He's Iron Man. That's what I call him, Iron Man. 39 straight starts. I said this when I drafted him the first time. 39 straight starts. Great in pass protection. Mauler in the run game. 0 sacks allowed last year. 0 sacks. Love Jake Majors, man. He's one of my favorite players in the draft because I'm interested where he's going to go. And I think the Lions, if you're looking for a center, Jake Majors would be perfect. He was a center for one of the best offensive lines in football. Helped run block for guys like Bijan Robinson. You ever heard of him? Yeah. Jake Majors. Love it. 196. Back-to-back offensive linemen. We've gotten edge, wide receiver, defensive line, edge, tackle, guard, center. Let's keep it pushing. All right. I like this a lot. All right. I say this every week. With the next selection, I decided to go with a similar face. I'm not going to, take too much time with this. Malachi Moore. Okay, Malachi Moore. Lions got to it's like Bama DBs. It seems like a match made in heaven. Bama DB, Lions. How you doing? You guys meet. And it always goes well. They always draft them. So Malachi Moore, safety. So I got a safety. Don't worry. I'll always make sure I grab a safety somewhere in here. So it's just a solid pick. I'm not going to sit here and tell you guys why Malachi Moore. He might not even be here at this time, if I'm being honest, but I think it's a very good pick, especially at in the 220 range. Come on. It's ridiculous. All right, let's keep it pushing. Next pick. I decided to go with, by the way, this is just the cherry on top. Smail Mondon. Come on. Smail Mondon. Linebacker out of Georgia. You ever watch Smail Mondon on tape? The Lions are going to love him. Lions are going to love him. And by the way, all these Georgia players that got DUIs, I don't think Smail has one. So he's a good fish. Okay, he hasn't gotten into all this bullshit. All right, but also got to see him at the combine, and it kind of confirmed what I already know. Senior Bowl participant, and there's tape of him covering ETN, who's the running back at Georgia, but out of the backfield. He's got, for especially a 7th round pick, like Smail Monday. Can this guy beat out Ben Neiman, Trevor Nowatzki. He'll compete with those guys. And a special teamer. That's what he's going to do. SEC player. I mean, look how many players I've taken in the SEC. I mean, just think about that for a second. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 players in the SEC. We're getting some dogs. All right. That's what we're getting here in my 5.0 mock. But I love it. Way to close out this draft. I mean, look at the draft, guys. Look at this draft. Look at it. I mean, I love this. I love this draft. And he traded back and got another pick. So I wanted to switch it up, do something different. But if the Lions ended with this draft, I'd love it. You got a bunch of dudes, just a bunch of contributors, absolute dogs. Big Ten and SEC only. There you go, Nick. Fuck yeah. All right. Come on. Big Ten and SEC only. Rick C says, my dad hasn't driven sober in 50 years. He's never had a deal. Okay, Rick, well, you just ratted out your dad. Yeah, you just ratted out your dad. All right, we'll get out of here. No, this is fun. I had fun doing this. Please drop the grades in the comment section below. Let me know what you think. Yeah, this is. I think we just watched Rick rat out his dad. I think. It's not funny, actually. Rixie says no biggie. He doesn't care now. Okay, well, that's okay. That is, yeah, it was a different time back in the day. Used to pour out the alcohol and they pull you over. Not like that anymore, man. They'll send you away or get you in trouble. It's tough. Ghetto Boy One says, I feel like I give you an A- every week. Keep cooking. Streams only says W. Appreciate you guys, man. Rot? I'm going to call you Rot. Edge, O-line, speedster, all we need. Got a feeling trading up in first round like a JMO move, but for an edge. Hey, we're all with you. Lions fans, I think the whole chat would agree with that as well. I think the most likely move, right? Jeez. Rick says, that's not what I mean, Jeff. He's still breathing. Hey, shout out to your dad, man. What a legend. You're a legend, Rick, so I'm assuming your dad's a legend. So, shout out to Pops. But yes, I wanted to give you guys a different scenario. It's the most likely option. The most likely option is they trade up. I think we can all agree. The most likely. They trade up. Brad does his little JMO, finesse, and he trades up to like 14, 15 and grabs some random edge or an edge we know. Because he always grabs someone that no one is like, what? But then you're like, okay, interesting. But I would love if like a James Pierce Jr., Mike Green, obviously those players I really do like, but Princely is someone that I think is kind of floating under the radar. I really like Princely. We came out with our top 10 list. He was on my top 10. So, yeah. I like Princely. I do. And I saw Malik put in there. He's kind of like a Zadarius Smith kind of type player. It's like that's actually a great comp. That's why I rely on Malik for that type of stuff, because that's a great comp. Maybe the Zadarius Smith stuff's just getting to me. I'm drafting players that are like Zadarius Smith. But Princely's very productive, so I like it. Trey Harris, I suggest you guys go watch Trey Harris because, like I said, I think Trey can be a legit wide receiver 2 in this league. Productive one. Anyway. Booner says, I have something new to try today. I'm pumped. Hey, tune in for it. Mock Draft Monday. Michael says, how pissed would you be on a scale from 1 to 10 if Brad does not take an offensive lineman or D-line for the first round pick? Fucking 11, Michael. All right? I'd be pissed. Because I'm trying to think of who else it would be. Like, wide receiver? Corner? Jackson Dart? Quarterback? No, I'd be pissed. I'd be so pissed. Because no other pick makes sense. Like, it doesn't. But the thing is, what Michael's saying is actually not crazy. Because, guys, the reality is we don't know who he's going to pick. And the only exception would be Jahad Campbell. The only exception would be Jahad Campbell. We can all agree. I actually like Jahad Campbell a lot. You know what? Maybe I should retract a little bit. I would be okay with Jahad. Any other pick, I'd be like, what are we doing? What? It's like, Brad's going to take it takes a wide receiver at like 28 or something. Yeah, people would be furious. It just, especially given who would be there potentially. And I've been noticing in a lot of mocks, again, these mocks don't mean they mean absolutely nothing. They do. They mean nothing. So please don't take anything I'm saying as like the Bible. But James Pierce has been falling in a lot of these mocks. So I don't know what that means. I doubt it means anything. If I'm being honest, I still think James Pierce goes like top 20. But if James Pierce is there and they take like some random player, oh my gosh, that would suck. Absolutely suck. Streams only says, why would we pick Campbell when we just paid Barnes? It's a fair question. I think probably Jihad's your fit for Jihad would probably be, because Jihad, I think, I would be okay with it because if I'm being real, streams only, I think Lukas would be okay with this too. He might beat out Barnes. And I know it would be stupid, but in a couple of years, if Jihad Campbell turns into an absolute elite player, you're like, I don't even care that we paid Barnes. Like $8 million and you got Jihad who's like playing at an elite level. You can get over it. But I get what you're saying. It wouldn't make sense because you just paid him, but I wouldn't even give a shit. If you were paying Barnes to ride the bench and Jihad was playing, I'd be cool with that. Like I would. Pay that man. It's only a 3-year deal, and I think they can get out of it in 2 years. So, and Jihad could play for Anzalone. I mean, he could play any linebacker role. I mean, if Anzalone goes down, or you want to trade him, or just let him go and not re-sign him, if he's getting older, you have Jihad. Because he can play. I mean, he could play outside linebacker, inside linebacker. He plays Sam, Mike, Will. He could do anything. I mean, he's just versatile. So I like Jihad a lot. I bought in fully to him. So. But I get it, though. I mean, they pay Barnes. But, you don't know Jihad's going to be there. If he is, you're like, shit. You got to make that decision. It'd be tough, but he's a hell of a player. He really is. Playmaker. I mean, he can do it all. And they blitz linebackers, especially Calvin would love that pick. They're sending Jihad would be like a weapon. It'd be like a Swiss Army knife. They blitz him, drop him into coverage, tackling machine, sideline to sideline. I mean, dude's just doing everything out there. He'd be making plays all over. So I'd be on board with Jihad, man. I'd be fired up about it. Even Ryan, Jihad would replace Anzo at will in 2026. Probably, honestly. Probably. I mean, Ghetto Boy Juan says Jihad will probably beat out Jack. I mean, Jihad, I would argue, would be one of your best he'd be competing for that best linebacker spot. He's got a high upside, man. He does. Something about Bama linebackers. I mean, it's like Jack with Iowa, but Bama linebackers, man. Not everyone pans out, but Jihad will. There's been some really good Bama linebackers that didn't pan out. Let me see. Yeah, Roquan was Georgia. I was thinking, where did Roquan go to school? Rick C says Alex ain't going to be around forever. Yeah, I mean, Anzo, how old is Anzo? Reuben Foster, that's who I'm thinking of. Yeah, Reuben Foster. Alex Anzalone. He is 30 years old. I mean, he's not old. I know people get offended when I say things like, oh, that guy's old. He's like 33. Not old, but in football age, he's old. Yeah, he's 30 years old. I mean, he's still got a couple good years left in him. I don't think Anzo's going to fall off a cliff, but 30 is actually not that bad. It's not too bad. Michael says Anzo has robotic limbs at this point. Yeah, I mean, it seems like the dude's indestructible. I mean, he just gets hurt, comes back with a forearm brace. He just plays hurt. I mean, the guy is just always getting something banged up. He's just a dog. I love Anzo. He'll come back early with a fracture and play. I mean, I love him. He's a good player. They needed him last year. I mean, when he was out, you felt it. We all talked about it here on the show. It's like when he was out, you felt it. It was just a big difference. And then when he comes back, he still plays it. That's what I'm saying. He's still playing at a pretty high level. He's still playing at a pretty high level, even last year. So, but Jihad, I would still be okay with. I mean, that's the best player available pick. I'd be okay with, right there. Brian says if Will Johnson drops, would Brad make the pick? That would, I mean, if you trade up for, let's say you trade up to like 15 and like James Pierce is there and Will Johnson's there. That's tough. I love Will Johnson too. I feel like you have to at least think about it, right? Am I crazy for that? I mean, it's Will Johnson. You'd have to at least be like, it's Will Johnson. I mean, the guy's. That's a good one. That's a good question. That's a good question, Brian. I would be okay with it. Even though I just said corner. But I don't expect Will Johnson to be there. Will Johnson should be like a top 10 pick. He should be a top 10 pick. So if you take Will Johnson, it's like, what? I mean, that would be crazy. Even though I get it. They took corner. I get that. They took corners last year, but it's like it's freaking Will Johnson. I mean, the guy, he could be better than Terrion and Ennis. He's got that type of upside. Brian says everyone's saying Will in the 20s after pro day. Oh my gosh, man. That's crazy. That's crazy. In the 20s? It's like Will Johnson, dude. I mean, I'm not even a Michigan fan. I mean, you guys, if anyone's a Michigan, you guys know Will Johnson. I mean, you don't have to be a Michigan fan. The guy is elite. Absolutely elite. That's crazy. I'll get out of here. Appreciate you all. I'll be live tonight with the fellas, Crunch Time Sports Show. We'll do our mock draft Monday, break down our mocks, discuss trending Lions rumors, talk some Wings, Pistons. It'll be a fun show. We'll try and see if I can get Corey on today. We'll see what he's doing. But appreciate your guys' support as always. Tuning in, hanging out with me every single Monday. It's the best. And I love the audience. You guys are honestly amazing. The best. Get your merchandise, officialctsports.com. And hopefully Zadarius Smith comes home today, right? Okay. All right. I will catch you all later. Peace.